Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Saturday morning, 10:08 a.m. I'm your host, John June. I got my guy on the other side here, Greg Penniman. Greg, what's good, man?
What's good? Feeling real good. Hopefully we can build off some momentum in week one, have some good plays, build off the Thursday night game, have a good week because it was some Warriors in that Thursday night game. So hopefully we see it during Sunday.
Yeah, Thursday night football, interesting. As it is in the early parts of the season, like we were talking about the other day. 27-24, Kansas City Chiefs victory. The Chargers did cover the 4.5. We did not get the over 51. But it was an interesting game for the most part, as these two teams normally do when they face off. I guess I have to ask you, Greg, Thursday night, do you have any thoughts, quick hits that you want to throw out there in regards to what you saw out there on Thursday night?
Other than the Herb being the second coming of Mahomes, that's really what it is. He's day to day right now. He's a warrior, man. Like that stretch where he couldn't get run out the pocket when he could have got an easy first down, and then that next play throwing that dime right to the 1 yard line and could have been a touchdown there. But over JC Jackson. Not over JC Jackson, through two defenders. Man, Justin Herbert is the man. He's awesome. Other than that, probably the running game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Norvin was ready to give Clyde kind of the jump there for kind of entering that strong RB2 territory, maybe some RB1 upside. But he's definitely going to be in a full committee timeshare with Jerick McKinnon. Both were heavily involved. Basically split the touches. Kind of like last week. Clyde got those touchdowns, but this time, it's going to be up and down. You never know who's going to get that touchdown. So Clyde definitely see as more of a low end RB2 going forward. Jerick McKinnon though definitely has some value now in fantasy relevant again.
Yeah, McKinnon's, he plays a lot of snaps. He's getting involved. It's 50-50 pretty much snap split between him and Clyde. Clyde, outside of the 52-yard run, on the ground he wasn't, really efficient. He was 7 of 22 prior to ripping off a 52-yard run in the fourth quarter. 4 catches, 44 receiving yards. He is still involved. He's definitely a piece of this offense you want. I think if you had Clyde and Jerick McKinnon, based on what we've seen through 2 weeks, you would have to play Clyde over Jerick McKinnon. I do think he is, like you said, he's in RB2 territory. He's going to have these spike weeks because of the offense that he's in, right? A lot of touchdown opportunity there. So, he's definitely going to be involved. He probably is a sell high candidate based on, some of the efficiency numbers that he's put up through these last 2 weeks, right? Like last week, he gets two bunnies at the goal line for touchdowns. And then this week, ripping off a 52-yard run, which if you didn't watch the game, you look, oh, Clyde had 15 PPR points. And it's like, 5 of them came on like the third to last play of the game, right? I'm in agreement with what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. The other question is, what do we do with these pass catchers on the Kansas City side, right? Like, the only constant that we know really is Travis Kelce. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 7 targets, but 2 catches, 13 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, who we crowned as the wide receiver 1 on this team, 3 targets, 3 catches, 10 receiving yards. That's like a stat line he would have put up back in Pittsburgh, playing pseudo tight end over there. So, Justin Watson, 2 targets, 2 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Like this thing is going to be really unpredictable. Like we said, we saw Jerick McKinnon catch a touchdown pass, on 2 targets for 4 yards. So um, it's going to be rough, man. Unless I have Travis Kelce or unless there's some kind of injury, it's going to be very hard to predict who's going to be the lead pass catcher for the Kansas City Chiefs going forward. Miko Hartman, obviously, he was involved as well, and he's probably the most interesting to me of the 3 wide receivers because he gets to play that Tyreek Hill role, and kind of get those high explosive type plays. But it's going to be tough. I think another thing that we have to discuss too is the usage of Austin Eckler, right? Like he's not that 3 down workhorse, that we thought that he was last year, right? Like, I mean, we're seeing Joshua Kelly and Sony Michel getting involved. I mean, Joshua Kelly, four rush attempts, 2 targets. Sony Michel, 4 rush attempts, 1 target. While Austin Eckler was in here, 14 rushing yards, 14 rush attempts for 39 rushing yards. Added 9 catches on 10 targets for 55 receiving yards. So nice day in the receiving end. But this is not, the Austin Eckler that we're used to from last year. Do you have any concerns with Austin Eckler, and is he closer to maybe a low end RB1 as opposed to that top 3 option that he was last year?
Yeah, I think I'm with you on the Chiefs receivers points, but first starting with Eckler, yeah, he's more. I think we gotta rate him what it is now, more of a mid-tier RB1. I mean, if I was redrafting today, I would draft Saquon over him. I think just based off the usage and stuff like that. So yeah, the 10 targets was nice, definitely in the passing game, but I mean, Keenan Allen definitely opened up some targets there for him. So you got to take that into play as well. What will happen with the impact when Keenan Allen comes back? But yeah, Joshua Kelly, Sonny Michel taking eight carries away from him. When you're a running back that's going to get that 15 carry number, that's more like, yeah, you're more kind of in that high in RB2 territory. But because he's Eckler, I mean, I think he's still more of a mid-tier RB1 for me. Got to keep an eye on him though, his usage, because the passing game value was there, but gonna keep an eye on that for when Keenan Allen comes back, how that would affect him. And then with the pass catchers on Kansas City side, I agree with you, Kelsey, and really no one else. Like I'm not really going hard to, unless it's a high scoring over under game, to go maybe add this person and play him. Uh, Probably more for DFS purposes for the ancillary receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean DFS, you have to have exposure to an offense like this, and you're going to take your lumps there. But in redraft, there's more consistent, and you could play the matchup, and
Yeah,
uh, you know, we can figure that stuff out, right? So,
yeah.
um, 2 other points before we move off of this game. Mike Williams, I hope he was in your lineups. Like,
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
really hope he was in your lineups, please. I hope we didn't go full tilt.
I
I
mean,
spoke.
that's Mike Williams though. This is what Mike Williams has been for the last 3 years. Like
Yeah,
he's
I
gonna
mean, he was
go.
a little bit better last year. He was better with it last year, but again, this is why you draft Mike Williams, right? Because of the 26 PPR points that he's going to put up for you.
Yeah,
After he puts up like 2 PPR
yeah. That's what I'm
points
saying.
this week.
That's
I was
you
talking to
you
somebody.
knew if you drafted him, you knew this coming in. Hopefully.
I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and they were saying, "Oh, like, I want to play. I'd rather get a receiver that averages 10 points a game than somebody who gets 0 one week and then 30 the next week." And I was like, "But that's still 15 PPR
That's still
points
more
a
of an
game."
average. Still higher average. Yes.
and and the 10-point week doesn't do you anything. It doesn't do you anything, but the 30-point week that wins you a week.
Right. It depends on the rest of your roster. Can your team afford to take a single digit week sometimes or every other week maybe
Correct.
and still win? Like, because, if not, then yeah, every time that's going to be losses. You're going to end up, 500 struggling to make the playoffs. But if your team could take that hit and still get some wins, then you're more likely to win and be over 500 during the season. But yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't draft Mike Williams. I'm not that type of person. Like I'm the type of person that's gonna be freaking out every time he gets 0 and then 20 the next week. That's why I don't draft lean towards the boom or bust players. But like it does help. I mean, win weeks for sure.
Yeah, and you know me, I'm all about it, Greg. But we do talk about this. We've talked about this before, especially in the past. You know, you got to build a roster. Like you draft players to kind of build this like perfect storm of players, right? Like
Right.
if you get a bunch of players that are like Mike Williams, like you said, you're gonna have like these up and down weeks. It's gonna be really volatile. But I think sometimes in fantasy, we got to embrace some of that volatility. So, you know, you get like these consistent players, right? Like we talk about this with the receiving core. Like I don't want like three Mike Williams in my receiver slots, right?
Right.
I might want like a PPR guy like a Michael Pittman, and I
Yep.
could pair him with like a Mike Williams,
Yep.
and then in my third receiver slot, maybe get somebody who you know, is the middle of the two, maybe like a Christian Kirk, right? So like now I don't have all of this volatility, and it's like when Mike Williams blows up,
Right.
you know, these other two guys have been consistent. So yeah. The other point, kudos to you for your tight end stream of the week. I mean, he came out, he balled. He was also part of the reason why the
Yes, sir.
he was also part of the reason why the Chargers end up losing this game, though. Right?
I mean, he was trying to say he was tired. Like I saw him, he's like, "Yo, coach, I'm tired." But like, it makes sense. If you're the Chargers, you want to no huddle. That's how they were moving the ball, especially in the second half. And yeah, he wanted to go. He just decided he wanted to jump outside right when Herbert threw inside. So I mean, oh sorry, he went inside when Herbert went to throw outside. So yeah, that was really what happened. But I mean, he tried to tell him he was tired, yo. So I give him that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough, man. It
Herbert
was
was
definitely,
upset, man. He wasn't even
yeah.
trying to look at him on that sideline
Bro,
after, yo.
did you see homeboy after the interception just like not even chasing the corner, bro? Like
Oh yeah, he tried to pick up his mouthpiece on the floor.
it's
He
just
was trying to
like,
pick up his mouthpiece. He
bro,
could have got something.
you
Could
could
have
have
tripped
you
him up
could have
maybe.
chased him down. You could have grabbed at his ankles, right? Like that's a 14-point swing right
That was the
there
play of the game. Yeah.
against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh yeah, you
So
can't have that. Not on the
cannot have
road.
that.
Yeah, man.
All right, it's time to move on to some matchups. But before we do that, Greg, we do have a question here from Cedric. Just look, I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name, Cedric, from YouTube. He's got to start two between Lamb, Sutton, and McLaurin in a PPR league. This feels. I want to say it's easy, but it's if you asked me this in like 2 weeks
Oh,
ago,
week
I had a
before week
different
one.
answer for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
But Greg, I'll let you answer this one first, man.
Well, just by ranking, I mean, first, McLaurin, I think of the three has the best matchup, and I do like his Terry McLaurin. He had a solid week one, so I'm throwing him out there. And then I do like Russell Wilson this week. I think the majority, all those passes are going to two people really, and it's Judy and Sutton. So I like Sutton this week as well, and they're home. They're going to bounce back this week, and both of them had a solid game. Them and Judy last week, so it's going to be tough to me to jump out there and trust Cooper Rush to start. I mean, you're getting high targets for Lamb, but how are those quality of targets going to be? And the A dot, is that going to be high for him? I know those A dots for Sutton and McLaurin probably be a little higher, so I'm gonna go with Sutton McLaurin this week.
Yeah, I'm not running away from CD Lamb.
No,
But if I have these options right here,
yeah,
like it's gonna be pretty easy for me. I'm gonna start Sutton. I'm gonna start McLaurin. I think both, like you said, they have they have a better situation. Um, they have probably more upside in this game. Where Lamb, if he has a good day, it's gonna be like
I don't
six,
know, 8 for
7
60.
catches,
Yeah,
70 to 80 receiving yards,
yeah,
and you'll feel good about it. Like you'll walk
yeah,
out saying, like, okay, that's a win for me. But if Sutton or McLaurin have a good day, I mean, the thing is McLaurin didn't have the target volume, but like you said, and we said it when we talked about this game, we broke this game down. McLaurin is still the wide receiver one to me. Like, I don't really care what happened last week. You don't pay that man all that money. And
yeah, word.
as good as he is, he's gonna find the football is gonna find him. So um, yeah, I would start McLaurin and Sutton in this one. And Cedric, we appreciate the question.
Sure.
Again, if you are watching us live on YouTube or Twitch or Twitter, then you can obviously hop in and leave us a comment, ask some questions, just like Cedric did just now. And anytime anything we can do to help you guys out, we definitely want to do that. Obviously, breaking down the games is fun, as we broke down all the 1 p.m. games. So if you've not caught that, definitely go back, listen to that if you want to catch all these 1 p.m. games, and our analysis of that. And if you are listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, or any other podcast platform, just make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Hit like, leave a comment, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Also, do the same on YouTube as well. Definitely helps the show, and it helps us be able to engage with the listeners. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's jump into some football. First up, we've got the 0-1 Atlanta Falcons traveling to Los Angeles to take on the 0-1 Los Angeles Rams. This game is Sunday, 4:05 p.m. This total is 47.5, where the LA Rams, again, coming off of a loss with 10 days to prepare, 10.5-point favorites. In terms of injuries, weather's okay in this game. In terms of injuries, Damian Williams, he's out with a rib injury. On the Chargers, or the Rams side, rather, linebacker Leonard Floyd, he is questionable. Van Jefferson, he is out again. And then offensive tackle Joe Noteboom is questionable as well. In this game here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take LA to cover and LA to win. I mean, Sean McVay coming off a loss. This is basically like a mini bye week for him. So, I'm expecting them to come out rolling against this Atlanta team that, played well last week, but, just came up short. I think on the Atlanta side, Cordero Patterson is probably the piece from Atlanta that I most want to play. I get it; it's going to be tough, but he's going to be involved. He's going to get the touches. Didn't know Damian Williams, so I think he's going to be heavily involved early and often. Kyle Pitts, I mean, didn't have a great week last week. I'm going to temper expectations again this week. I mean, we'll see what happens, but he's got to be in your lineup for sure. And don't be surprised if next week Kyle Pitts is a buy low candidate, as we discuss some of those on this show. And then on the also for Atlanta, I'm very interested in Drake London here. Ramsey's not going to shadow him. Got really good volume last week, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 74 receiving yards. So I really like Drake London's volume, and I think he fits in as a high-end wide receiver 3 flex option in PPR leagues. On the Rams side, I think Matthew Stafford bounces back this week, finishes as a low-end QB1. Cooper Kupp, he's a wide receiver 1, of course. Darrell Henderson, I think he's going to mix in as an RB2 this week. And then Cam Akers, I think you're in sit and wait mode with Cam Akers. You can't confidently put him in your lineup and expect much out of him. I'm just kind of wait and see mode. I'm not going to drop him, but I'm just going to be in wait and see mode. And then Tyler Higbee, I think, is again, the state of the tight end landscape. Tyler Higbee is a strong play. So that's it for me on the Atlanta Rams game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the under. I'm gonna take Atlanta to cover, but I'm gonna still take the Rams to win. They probably get it at 10 probably. On the Atlanta side, I'm with you with Cordell Patterson, and being the play that I'm most confident in playing. He's probably gonna get the most touches, the most work. And Drake London, he played a lot of snaps last week. 52 out of the 71 snaps. That you love to see that a rookie wide receiver. So he's definitely going to keep rising. I think he has some flex value in this one. And Kyle Pitts is definitely the first 2 games. I think people that are paying attention, knew that this is going to be a shaky start. So definitely keep an eye on, after the week 2, he might. Our temporary expectations still low and tight in 1 for me here. But yeah, I think after this week he should take off it a little bit. On the Rams side, Stafford is in a great spot here. Cooper Kupp is in an amazing spot. Like, I think he's gonna probably finish Jefferson and Cooper Kupp 1-2, probably be 1-2 again between those two. He's going to dominate in this one. And I love Tyler Higbee this week. Got 11 targets last week. 3 straight weeks with over 8 targets, dating back to the regular season last year. So he's definitely on a little roll here. And Darrell Henderson, definitely the running back you want in this offense. I'm treating him as a RB2, a high-end RB2 in this one. And Cam Akers stash right now for sure. Darrell Henderson, definitely a guy that, probably not built for the entire regular season. So I think Cam Akers still has some value rest of the season. And yeah, I mean, Allen Robinson, I'm not playing him. I don't think. I think he's more.
I didn't bring him up. I realized that. Actually realized that I didn't write up anything about the Rams in my notes, so I just kind of winged that one. But Allen Robinson, I think you can play him.
Flex conversation, definitely.
I mean, okay. I know I love Zay Jones, but Allen Robinson or Zay Jones?
Given, yeah, I can't see him like just dudding again, but I don't know.
I mean, he played
Cooper,
the
Cooper
Bills
Cup is
last
a
week.
smash spot too, so who knows? It just gives it all to Cooper
No,
Cup.
I know, but
Yeah.
the pass rush for Atlanta is not as going to be as fierce as it
He
was
didn't
for Buffalo,
dominate the
right?
line of
Like
scrimmage.
Matthew Stafford didn't have time. He was
he did.
under duress. Allen Robinson, is running all these deep routes. Like there's no time for those things to really progress.
You're right.
To develop. So like,
yeah, I think I'll go Allen Robinson still.
I think Allen Robinson is a good enough. I mean, obviously, like it's gonna sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, right? Because you invest this draft capital in Cam Akers, but you're not gonna play him, right? But it's a little different situation because Allen Robinson's on the field, right? Like Cam Akers wasn't on the field. You can't play a guy that's not on the field. Not gonna get you fancy points if you're sitting on the sideline. But Allen Robinson's on the field. This is a good matchup. The Falcons are one of the few teams in the NFL that actually do use their top corner to shadow. So, like, not saying AJ Terrell is going to shut down Cooper Kupp, not going to happen by any means. I think Cooper Kupp's going to dog no matter what. But if Cooper Kupp is getting all this extra attention, then Allen Robinson in a game where they're 10.5-point favorites, I feel like he's got to be involved. And Sean McVay, call him a liar all the time, but he talked about wanting to get Allen Robinson involved. I got to believe him. So Allen Robinson for me is like a high end, mid-tier wide receiver 2. That's where I'm going.
Okay. I'll give you definitely top 30 play. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he's a top 30 play. I had to say that because Zay Jones is a wide receiver 2 for me, and I said I would play him over Zay Jones, so I had to put him in that wide receiver.
Right, a little higher. Yeah, right.
All right, I think that's it on this game.
Yes, sir.
Move on to this next game. I gotta tell you, Greg, I don't think it's gonna. We talked about Trey Lance, and there was a rain game last week, and it wasn't. Well, this game has the Seattle Seahawks 1-0 traveling to San Fran to take on the 0-1 San Francisco 49ers. This game has a 41.5-point total. The Niners are 9.5-point favorites. The possible thunderstorms in this game. 90% chance of rain.
Oh man, yo.
For the San Fran side, George Kittle practiced on Friday.
There we go. Okay.
I don't know if you saw these videos, Greg, but I was watching these videos of him moving around. And again, I'm not an injury doctor, but I am an expert at one thing, and that's getting injured. And and if I hurt my groin, and I'm not an elite athlete like George Kittle, but if I hurt my groin, I would not be moving as smooth as George Kittle was moving on this video I was watching on Friday. Looked like he was not laboring. So I think George Kittle is gonna be good to go. I would temper expectations, but gonna be good to go. I feel like but this game's at 4:05 p.m. So you gotta have a pivot option there if you are waiting on George Kittle.
Got to.
On Seattle, safety Jamal Adams ends up on injured reserve with a quad injury. Safety Joey Blunt is doubtful with a hamstring. Cornerback Artie Burns was questionable with a groin, and he was DNP. And then long snapper, watch out for these long snappers, man. They're getting hurt. Long snapper Tyler Lott ends up on IR with a shoulder injury. Greg, what do you got in this matchup here?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Seattle to cover. I'm gonna take San Fran to win. Uh, that under just makes me even more sense now with the weather again. Uh, on the Seattle side, Rashad Penny, you know, probably going to be leading in target. I mean, carries again for this team. Got 12 carries for 60 yards. Ran pretty well. Ran very well actually last week. So I have him in RB2 territory. As far as the pass catchers, I mean, DK is probably going to lead in targets, but I mean, he got a little shut down last week. I did have a tough matchup with Patrick Surtain. He's one of those shadow quarterbacks I'm saying that we need more of for sure. So I'm gonna have DK as a wide receiver 3 territory. That's probably the only guys I'm really looking at on the Seattle side. On the San Fran side, I do think Trey Lance is startable. Just again tempering again expectations to that low end QB1 territory. Uh, Probably high in QB2, 13, 14 range. Um, you made the move to get Carson Wentz. I think confidently get some better plays than that. But if you had Trey Lance and Tom Brady, I think I still would go with Trey, just because Tom Brady struggles against New Orleans in the past, and that's gonna be a more ugly game. Could be also another ugly game. And rushing volume should be there. He did get 13. He ran for 13 times last week. Got 54 yards, so the floor will be there. And as far as the receivers, Ayuk, I mean, for Debo, it's probably one. He's going to be also getting rushing attempts as well with Jeff Wilson Jr., who's RB2 for me, low in RB2 category. George Kittle's back, so that definitely helps Trey Lance a little bit. You're starting him. You took George Kittle within the top 5 tight ends, so you're playing him if he's able to go. Probably a good backup option. Maybe if you want to get Hayden Hurst, who's also in the 4 o'clock games, could be just one of those desperation guys that if Kittle can't go, you throw in there. And yeah, I mean, also on the Seattle side, Noah Fant has a little bit of value.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under here. I am gonna take San Fran to cover 9.5. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I got them covering 9.5. I just feel like Seattle coming off that emotional Monday night win. It was a lot going on in that game. So just probably might come out a little flat here. So that's kind of my thought process there. On the Seattle side, I'm 100% with you in terms of the players. Rashad Penny, he looked good last week.
Yeah,
I just don't know, how much touchdown opportunity is going to be there week to week. But RB3 flex option, DK Metcalf had the tough matchup, like you said. Um, I think he's a wide receiver 3 flex option. On the San Fran side, I'm in the Trey Lance, like you said, as a quarterback, low end quarterback one, borderline quarterback one, I would say. He's going to be involved in the run game. Had 13 carries last week, 54 rushing yards. If he falls into the end zone like Marcus Mariota did, or I'm trying to think, somebody else fell into the end zone too at quarterback. If he had just fallen into the end zone, we'd be talking about Trey Lance from a completely different perspective after week one.
yep,
Debo Samuel, I think he's going to be involved as well. He's a high end wide receiver too. I think he's going to pick up some rushing volume. Jeff Wilson Jr. It's tough to really place him. I mean, if this was a Jimmy G offense, he's like an RB2, no questions asked, because all that rushing volume would go through him. But like I said, Trey Lance had 13 carries last week, so um, how much of this pie he's probably getting like 100% of like a 60% pie or something like that versus what he would have been getting in previous years. So that puts him in RB2, RB3 territory for me instead of the RB1, RB2 territory. Um, on for Ayuk, I'm not gonna start him this week. The weather concerns, like it's just not worth it. Like I'd rather go pick up Zay Jones and start him.
I agree.
Maybe you picked up a Curtis Samuel, you'd start him. You could even talk me into Jahan Dotson over Brandon Ayuk. Um, you know, and I agree with you on Kittle. Like if he's out there, you're gonna start him. I know somebody asked us earlier, I think it was on Thursday, Gerald Everett or George Kittle, and we're like Everett, like Everett. um, but I think Kittle is bet. That's because Everett was one of the top tight end options
Yeah,
coming into this week. But like right now, like you said, I would put a Hayden Hurst on my bench. Would you go Higbee or George Kittle?
That's tough. I think I'm gonna go Higby just because even though Josh could have started the game, he might have finished the game. So and also I think I do like Higsby matchup. He's just been rolling play week one. He's got some rhythm. So I'm gonna go Higby. Rainy game
Yeah,
again. That rain is just scaring me again though.
that's really what it comes down to, right? Like that tiebreaker is going to be that weather and the environment. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think I would go Higby as well. That's all I got for this matchup. Anything else?
Yeah, nah, I think we're good.
I think you should be stashing the other Niners running backs, Jordan Mason and Tyrion Davis Price, just to see what happens. If they do get involved or something happens with Jeff Wilson, unfortunately. So just keep that in mind. Moving on to the next matchup, we've got the 0-1 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Dallas to take on the 0-1 Dallas Cowboys. This game has a 41.5 point total where the Cincinnati Bengals are 7.5 point road favorites. This game is in a dome, so there's no injury or no weather concerns. In terms of injuries, T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Bengals, he's dealing with a concussion and some personal issues. Uh, he returned to practice on Friday. That would lead me to believe that he's in line to play, but just make sure you have some other options available to you. On the Cincinnati side, or sorry, continue on the Cincinnati side. The long snapper Clark Harris, he's on IR with a torn bicep. So we saw the impact that had in the kicking game on Sunday. I think that they probably signed a long snapper by now, but I'm not tracking long snapper news. Dak Prescott, he is out with the thumb injury. Michael Gallup out with the knee. Connor McGovern, offensive guard, is out. And then Jaren Curse, the safety, he is out with the knee as well. Um, in this matchup here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the Bengals to cover, and I'm going to take the Bengals to win the game. I want all the Bengals in this one. Joe Mixon is an RB1. Joe Burrow is a QB1. Jamar Chase is a wide receiver 1. T. Higgins is a high-end wide receiver 2. I think Hayden Hurst is a streamable option. Uh, and I think he even gets a bump if Higgins can't go for whatever reason. As would Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's probably the one Bengal I don't want to play in redraft, but if Higgins can't go again, I think him and Hayden Hurst both get bumps. And then for Dallas, CD and Dalton Schultz are probably the pieces I want to play the most on the Dallas side. I think Zeke is an RB3 flex option. I think Pollard does get more involved this week, but he's probably not somebody that I'm going to look to play in redraft leagues this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the over. I'm gonna take Dallas to cover, but I'm gonna take Cincy to win. I agree with you on the Bengals side. I want all their pieces. Joe Burrow bounces back. He still gave you a good fantasy relevant week with all those turnovers. So I think he bounces back well without the mini turnovers. Uh, Jamar Chase, as a lock. You already know. Joe Mixon's a lock. Uh, T. Higgins, if he's going to go, he's a lock. If he's not, that really opens up opportunity for Tyler Boyd. I'm like an instant slide in for Tyler Boyd if T. Higgins can't go, because when one of those two are out, Tyler Boyd seems to always at least get 5 receptions and do well. Hayden Hurst, again, a desperate streaming option. I like him as, especially in this offense. On the Cowboys side, yeah, Hayden Hurst and CeeDee Lamb are the pass catchers I'm looking at. Lamb in that wide receiver 2 territory. Dalton Schultz, low and tight in 1. And Zeke, yeah, it's tough. I'm definitely keeping an eye on him. He's more of a RB3, that flex conversation. He's definitely gonna be in a lot of flex questions for people this week. Um, like I have him in a league where I'm still deciding between him and Curtis Samuel. I think I'm leading Curtis Samuel, or him and even like Naeem Hines in a pretty good matchup. It's definitely tough, but I think he'll be the leader in the touches. It's a matter of Cooper Rush isn't a horrible quarterback, so I think he can make some drives and get some opportunities for Zeke and get in the end zone.
Yeah, we saw Cooper Rush once last year in a start against the Minnesota Vikings, and he performed well. So did the other pieces in Dallas. We have seen quarterbacks come in and one start and do well though, and then be pretty
True.
booty after that.
That is true. That is true. Except Mike White though. Mike White gave you like a couple starts of greatness.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Mike White gave us like a start
Mike
and
White needs to be starting now.
a start in a quarter. Granted, his last start was against Buffalo, and it didn't go too well.
It's
But
Buffalo though, you know.
it's Buffalo, right? So I don't know. I was gonna say Taylor Heineke was one of those.
True. Many times he's been
Many,
coming in like he almost beat the Bucks in the playoffs, man.
yeah, crazy stuff. All right, let's move on to the next matchup, man. The 0-1 Houston Texans traveling to Denver to take on the 0-1, sorry, 0-1 Denver Broncos. This game is Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Weather's okay in this game. In terms of injuries, KJ Hamler is out with a knee. Justin Simmons is on injured reserve with a quad. That's big loss for the Denver defense as they lose their stud safety there. Offensive guard Quinn Miners, he's out. On the Houston side, tight end Brevin Jordan, he's questionable. Offensive lineman Justin Britt is out for personal reasons. Greg, what do you got?
In this game, I'm gonna go the under, taking Denver to cover, taking Denver to win. Russell Wilson's first game at home. I think this will be a bounce back for him. I think he's, the matchup is not the best, but I mean, he's home. He's going against a bad team. I think he dominates, passing to, two of his main guys, pass catchers, Cortland Sutton and also Jerry Jeudy. I think they're both high in wide receiver twos in this one, both top 20 plays. Albert O ran a lot of routes last week, one of the tops as far as route rate in the tight end position. So I do like him as having that low end tight end one value. Could have upside for more. And as far as the running backs, you definitely. I love having Javonte Williams. He looks very good last week, so good last week, especially with the targets, getting those receptions. You hope that continues. So I think he has a strong RB2 value, some RB1 upside in this one. Melvin Gordon also in that RB2 conversation. And then on the Houston side, Brandon Cooks, we talk about how Patrick Surtain is going to be probably on him a lot. Definitely a tough matchup, but I think he's a lock for your Houston every week. He is. He's going to get that volume. And as far as running backs, I think you can make Rex Burkhead as a playable guy in this one, especially in the flex conversation. If you're looking for a running back out there, definitely I think he could be an option. He dominated that Houston backfield last week. Got the 14 carries, got 8 targets. So I think he is an option and definitely in 12-team leagues.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over here, taking Houston to cover. I'm taking Denver to win the game. I like both the Denver running backs. Javonte is a borderline RB1. Melvin Gordon, a high-end RB2. Russell Wilson, I think he's definitely a quarterback one option this week. And then I gotta love his wide receivers in Judy Sutton, or in Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. Um, I think see both of those guys as like high end wide receiver two options, just because it could really like one of them would probably finish as wide receiver one, the other one finishes as wide
Right.
receiver
Whoever
two,
gets
and
that
they'll flip
touchdown.
flop.
Yeah.
And there'll be some weeks where maybe they both finish in the top 12. But yeah, Al O is interesting. I think he's like probably have him as tight end 14 on the week. It's like fair. I mean, there's like 13
Yeah.
guys I'd rather play than he's like right before like the Taysom Hill line, like at this point I'm willing to put in Taysom Hill. Like just see what happens.
I don't think they'll use all those tight ends they used last week to begin. They'll, hone in more on Albo, hopefully.
I hope.
They were
I
throwing some
really
names
hope.
out there I'd never heard of last week. It was crazy.
Andrew Beck,
Yeah.
51 receiving. I'm like, what? Crazy stuff. All right, on the Houston side, Brandon Cooks, I think, like you said, the volume is going to be there, so he's got to be a borderline wide receiver one. Rex Burkhead, I started him last week. It worked
There
out.
we
I
go.
mean,
Hey, there you go.
borderline RB2. I mean, he should be involved in the pass game, like you were saying. Damian Pierce, I think he needs more volume, like before I can confidently put him in my lineup.
Yeah.
And that's that for me. Moving on to the next matchup, we've got the 0-1 Arizona Cardinals traveling to Vegas to take on the 0-1 Las Vegas Raiders. This game has a 51.5-point total, where the Vegas Raiders are 5.5-point favorites. Weather is okay in this game in terms of injuries. Wide receiver Rondale Moore for Arizona, he's out with a hamstring injury. Wide receiver Andy Isabella, he's out with the hamstring. Offensive tackle Rashad Coward, he's out. J.J. Watt, he's questionable with a calf. Trayvon Mullen, the cornerback, questionable. Safety Jalen Thompson, questionable with a toe. For the Raiders, center Andre James, he's out. Denzel Perriman, the linebacker, is out with an ankle. Safety Trayvon Morig is out with a hip. Running back Brandon Bolden, he's doubtful with a hamstring. Wide receiver DJ Turner was added to the injured reserve. Keelan Cole was signed to the practice squad, or signed from the practice squad. And then cornerback Anthony Everett was placed on injury reserve. That is the longest injury report I think I've read in a very long time. In terms of the matchups here, Greg, what do you got?
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take Arizona to cover. I'm going to take Vegas to win. On Arizona side, I still have Kyler Murray, as a lock. James Conner, I think, he's continuing off of what he did last year, surprisingly. So I'm having still as a, some RB1 upside, a strong RB2 for sure. Marquise Hollywood Brown, I think he should bounce back this week. Better matchup. I think, better matchup. I think the team will play better, so I think we'll have more opportunities. And Zach Ertz, I think, is also playable as well. I'll take Zach Ertz over, I think, Owl in this matchup for sure. As far as the Raiders side, Derek Carr played well last week as far as forcing those interceptions. I mean, he was really rolling to Devontae Adams, but maybe, if he can spread it out a little bit more to his other receivers, Hunter Renfro, Darren Waller, I think that will help him a little bit. Devontae, of course, wide receiver one, bona fide top 5 play every week. Hunter Renfro, I think, should bounce back as being in that strong flex category. And Darren Waller, tight end 1 for sure, a top 5 option this week as well. It should be a good game. Hopefully, the Cardinals can bounce back offensively, and we can get a little high scoring matchup in this one.
Yeah, I think we do get a high scoring matchup in this one. I'm taking the over. I'm taking Vegas to cover. I am going to take Vegas to win this matchup. On the Arizona side, Kyler Murray, he's a quarterback 1 option, pretty much every week, especially what he does with his legs. Marquise Brown, he should see more targets. Kyler actually talked about, getting Marquise 10 plus targets. So I think he's got to be in your lineups. Greg Dortch, I think he's a great PPR option. With Rondale Moore out again, I think what this really means is that if Rondale Moore is on your waiver wire, you got to scoop this guy up, because if Rondale Moore is getting this kind of volume, I'm going to be very, very excited and very interested as well. James Conner, RB2 option, strong RB2 option. Benjamin is the clear RB2 though, and I think he should be stashed. We know James Conner's injury history, so he's got to be somebody I think is stashed on your bench. Zach Ertz is a tight end 1 option, and apparently he's healthy, so I like the matchup this week. So he's somebody that you have to play at the tight end position.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next matchup here, we've got the. Oh, did I not say Devontae Adams? I didn't say anything about the Raiders. I just completely left out the entire Raiders. What am I doing? Anyway, so on the Raiders side, Derek Carr, absolutely loving this week. I think this is a smash spot for him. I think his wide receiver, Devontae Adams. I mean, you said the comment earlier in the show. I kind of disagree. I think Devontae might be the wide receiver 1 on the week, but it's just,
it's hard to pick that too. That cup, J. Jeff. I don't know, yo. Oh,
wasn't he like the wide receiver 2 last week?
I thought it was Jeff Cooper, but you could be right. Jeff or Devontae.
I thought it was. All right. Maybe you look that up while I finish doing the Raiders here. So Josh Jacobs, I think, is in a really good spot this week too. Somebody that we're gonna talk about a little bit later. But he's in a great spot. I think Hunter Renfro, I think him, and I think he's going to bounce back. Saw 6 targets last week, but the Chargers defense I think is probably just better than we anticipated going into week 1. I mean, we saw what they did yesterday to help Patrick Mahomes to under 250 passing yards. So, yeah, and then Darren Waller, he's got to be in your lineups.
Yeah, for sure. According to Fantasy Pros, Jefferson 39.4, Cooper Kupp 31.8, Devontae 30.1 in PPR leagues, full point. I mean, in half point, you had it right.
Nah, I
right?
was going for PPR. That's what I wanted.
PPR, yeah.
All
I
right,
mean, they were right there,
You're
yo.
right
It's
there. It was
it's gonna
like
be
one,
tough,
two,
man.
three. Yeah, it's tough. All right, let's move on to this last matchup here. The 1-0 Chicago Bears. Oh, last matchup. Sorry. This is not the last matchup. There's like
Last
3
Sunday
matchups
matchup.
left.
Last Sunday matchup.
The last Sunday matchup. This game is Sunday night, 8:20 p.m. The 1-0 Chicago Bears traveling to Green Bay to take on the 0-1 Green Bay Packers. This game is a 42.5-point total where the weather is going to be okay in this game. In terms of injuries, Chicago wide receiver Velus Jones, he's doubtful with a hamstring. For Green Bay, it seems like they're getting a lot of guys back here. Offensive tackle Elton Jenkins is questionable with a knee. David Bakhtiari, the tackle, is questionable with a knee. And then Alan Lazard, he's questionable with an ankle, as is offensive guard John Runyon, questionable with an ankle. But those guys all did participate in practice, which is a good sign for their prospects to play this week. In this game, imagine if the Green Bay Packers start off 0-2 in the NFC North. That'd be
Against the
crazy.
Bears of all people, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen though. I'm taking the under, taking Green Bay to cover, taking Green Bay to win. I do like Justin Fields this week as a high-end QB2. I think his legs make him a good option. The weather's going to be better in this game, so he's one of the top deep ball attempt throwers in football in terms of air yards. So he's somebody that just from a fantasy perspective, he kind of fits the mold of what you want with these rushing quarterbacks. Of he's going to be rushing, he might be down, he might have to throw. I mean, we used to do this with Josh Allen when he was, on bad Bills teams, right? Like like we would roll Josh Allen out there because you knew in garbage time or whatever the situation was going to be, he was just going to try to make something happen. So, David Montgomery, I think he's an RB3 flex option. I think Khalil Herbert has to continue to be stashed on your bench. Darnell Mooney, I think, bounces back, as does tight end Cole Kmet. For the Green Bay side, the running backs are both RB2s with RB1 upside. Alan Lazard has some intrigue if he's healthy and going to play, but he's going on Sunday night. So it's like, if you do have, I, I don't even know what other options you would have at that point, like Kyle Phillips in the Tennessee game. Like, I don't know what other options you would have. Like, I would play Zay Jones over Alan Lazard. I would play Curtis Samuel over Alan Lazard. But he definitely has upside if he can go. It's just tricky because he's playing on Sunday night. I do love Tunyon this week and going forward especially.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Bears to cover. But I'm gonna take the Packers to win. On the Packers side, you're still starting Aaron Rodgers. Is more of that borderline QB1. I think he does end up with QB1 performance though this week. Aaron Jones, I love in this spot. I think the running game they rely on it a little more this time. So Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are both. Aaron Jones slightly more upside. I mean AJ Dillon is just creeping up slowly but surely. I think they're both very playable, strong candidates for RB1 upside possibly. Um, and then as far as the passing game, if Alan Lazard can go, I mean, yeah, you're really hopefully you're like stacked or have maybe a Monday night option. If Alan Lazard went and I had Devontae Smith in my lineup, like I'm playing him over Devontae Smith pretty much. So that's pretty much comes down to Robin Tunyon. I'm playing as well. High and tight end 2 value. Could get a touchdown in this one. And on the Bear side, it's tough. I think David Montgomery. I think with the volume, I think he's playable as an RB2 value, RB2 play. Darnell Mooney didn't get the targets you thought he was going to get in week 1. Throwing that game on kind of out offensively with the rain, especially passing wise. I think he's in that wide receiver 3 combo. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I am going. Well, I don't know why I'm just talking like this because I already did my matchup. So we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills taking on Tennessee Titans on Monday Night
Buffalo.
Football, one of two Monday Night Football games that we have, where the 0-1 Tennessee Titans travel to Buffalo to take on the 1-0 Buffalo Bills. This game has a 49.5-point total, where the Buffalo Bills are 9.5-point favorites. There's potential rain during this game, so be mindful of that. In terms of injuries on the Buffalo side, Ed Oliver is questionable. Dane Jackson is also, he's a DNP with a knee. And then Tim Settle was questionable with an undisclosed injury. And I just have to double check and confirm whether those players, the last two I mentioned, play for the Bills or the Titans. And they play for the Bills, which means the Titans injury report looks something like um, Kyle Phillips questionable with a shoulder injury. He was limited in practice on Friday. Dontrell Hilliard, the backup running back for the Tennessee Titans, was a DMP on Friday with a hamstring. That's not good. And then cornerback Christian Fulton was a DMP with a hamstring there as well. Defensive end Deshaun Hand was added to the injured reserve with a quad injury. And then safety AJ Moore was placed on injured reserve with an ankle injury. So Titans seem to be hurting there a little bit. In terms of this matchup, however, I will be taking the Bills to cover, or the Titans to cover, sorry, the Bills to win. I'm going to take the over here. Um, in terms of the fantasy stuff, I'm Josh Allen, quarterback one, Stephon Diggs, a wide receiver one, Gabe Davis, a high end wide receiver two, Devin Singletary, probably the Bills running back that I want to play. Not really in a Dawson Knox this season, but he's always in line for an opportunity to catch a touchdown pass. And then for the Titans, Derrick Henry is an RB1. That is all.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Buffalo to cover, Buffalo to win. I think these Super Bowl odds-on favorites are just gonna keep on rolling. I do love Josh Allen every week. Obviously, he could finish QB1 every week with like Mahomes upside and stuff. Uh, Devin Singletary in a great spot here. I do like his matchup, especially after what Saquon was doing last week. And, Devin Singletary is not Saquon, but he definitely should get some action here. Some RB2 upside. Diggs, always great play. Gabriel Davis, keep rolling them out there. Isaiah McKenzie, I think, even has some deeper league value. Uh, Dawson Knox, yeah, it's very interesting. And they paid the man, so you would think that he would get more involved, hopefully, in this one. But yeah, I'm gonna still wait and see for him. I mean, unless you're desperate, it's tight end, so you might have to throw him out there situations as a tight end too. And yeah, I agree with you on the Titan side. It's Derrick Henry, and that's really it. Like it's all like mm, yeah. There's no more. Nothing more to explain after that.
Yeah, no. We do have a question from Sar. I don't know how to say that, but from YouTube, would you play Tunyon over Pitts? I like Tunyon a lot this week. He's my stream of the week, but I cannot take Kyle Pitts out of my lineup. There's like not a situation where I would, unless I had like Travis Kelsey or Mark Andrews or Darren Waller on my team, where I would even think about removing Kyle Pitts from my lineup.
Yeah, unless I had let Jared ever play, I probably would have possibly did that.
I wouldn't even
Uh,
have done that. Like if Gerald Everett was on waivers, like I'm gonna drop somebody
but
to
yeah,
pick up
because you
Gerald Everett.
drafted Kyle Pitts in like what the third, fourth round, maybe.
Yeah,
So you're like,
for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's tough. Like you know, just being it's just been so like well last week he definitely had really high expectations. I mean, he got the 1,000 yards, one touchdown this week. Definitely a tough matchup. I'm going Pitts over Tunyon, but I think there are some more upside plays you could possibly make an argument for. start with
No,
Pittsburgh.
you could definitely make that argument. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that like the landscape, like who are you playing? Who does your opponent have in their lineup that you need to say I need to upgrade at tight end,
Yeah, true.
right? Like
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
if they have a Travis Kelce, they have a Mark Andrews, maybe you try to chase, you're trying to like the aggregation of marginal gains. Like I'm all into that, right? Like you're trying to put the best possible lineup together. But at one point, when it comes to tight end, like there's not many options that are out there.
yeah,
And like
yeah,
Kyle Pitts is a unicorn. So like although the matchup is tough, like he's still a guy that if he goes out there and has 6 catches for 117 receiving yards, like none of us would be surprised. Like we
no,
wouldn't. But
no.
so that's kind of where I'm at with that. And they say thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
um, and moving on to this last matchup, Monday night doubleheader, the 1-0 Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to take on the 1-0 Philadelphia Eagles. I, for some reason, put down that this game was in Minnesota when it's not, which would have made me say that it's in a dome. But Philadelphia is not a dome. So
not.
during this game, there's 22% chance of rain. Doesn't seem like much to be concerned about, but obviously we will know more as we get closer to game time. Greg, what do you got in this matchup here?
In this game, I mean, this is probably my most exciting game other than the first game of the weekend. So the first and the last game of the weeks have been, they're definitely on my radar for entertainment. I'm taking over, taking Philly to cover, taking Philly to win. Uh, as far as who I'm playing, though, it's yeah, on the Eagles side, you're starting Hurts. You're starting. I think Miles Sanders is a good play. Uh, AJ Brown, of course, is a dog. He's close to 40% target share last week. That's ridiculous. He's gonna keep eating. Um, Devontae Smith, I think, is in that flex conversation. He should bounce back. He ran a lot of routes last week. I could see if you can want to go for a higher upside play over him, but I think he won't kill you this week like he did last week. Dallas Goedert tied in one territory as well, and on the Viking side, Kirk Cousins QB1 as well. Jay Jeff want to be right there with Cooper Kupp and Devontae every week top 3, and yeah, I mean Adam Thielen's also bounced back as well, and I think it was both of the ancillary receivers just got uh, kind of just played into the number one receiver just dominated. I mean, they just were playing well. I mean, if I was the quarterback, I'd keep going back to those guys every play as well. It'll be a little more even this time. I think Thielen and Devontae Smith. I still like Thielen a little bit more, and Dalvin Cook as well. Your automatic lock.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over here. Going to take Minnesota to cover. I'm going to take Minnesota to win this game. I think we get in. Tell you, man, I'm back in Minnesota like I was back in the Chargers last year. The Chargers didn't work out, but I have faith in Minnesota this year. I just love everything about them. So on the Minnesota side, I'm taking Justin Jefferson, top 3 wide receiver play. I think Dalvin Cook, he's an RB1. Adam Thielen, crazy stat, Greg. In his last 19 games,
Mm,
Adam Thielen has one 100-yard receiving game. So he's
wow,
been very touchdown
taking you on that
dependent.
touchdown. Yeah.
I think he does. I think he does get involved in his offense. I mean, you got to wonder. Adam Thielen is a good player. He's been a good player. Um, Justin Jefferson. Obviously, we know he's on another planet, but
Yeah.
at one point or another, Adam Thielen's got to be like, "Yo, when am I gonna start getting the ball?" So like, I feel like that happens on Monday night. Thielen high total. This game has a high total. I think he's going to make some plays, possibly get in the end zone here. KJ Osborne, I think he could be involved as well, especially if you are playing in deep leagues, or if you're playing on the Monday Night Showdown on DraftKings. I think he's somebody that could be in consideration for you. On the Philadelphia side, Jalen Hurts, he's a QB1. AJ Brown, top 5 wide receiver play. Miles Sanders, I think he's an RB2 option. We saw him get in the end zone last week after sitting out, not being in the end zone all last year. So definitely good to see there. And then, Dallas Goedert, I think will be involved, as will Devontae Smith. Should be both be involved as ancillary options. And again, this game I think hits the over on the total. So Devontae Smith is somebody that I think is definitely in consideration as like a wide receiver 3 flex option.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm very interested in this in the game. Oh, I just am hoping Jalen Reagor runs it back for a touchdown or something like that, some kickoff return or punt return
Oh
touchdown.
yeah, revenge game.
Revenge game, Jalen
I
Reagor.
was just so focused on the Justin Jefferson aspect of this game that I wasn't even thinking
The
about Jalen.
reason, yeah, for that is because Jalen Reagor too,
Oh man. All right, it's time to move on to our favorite time of the week.
Yes,
It's
sir.
this money time. Guess to play some or not play some. We're gonna give out these starts of the week. That's what we about to do. So I'm gonna start this week, Greg, because I gotta get this one out of the way. And me heart
Mhm.
palpitations. Not really. I'm confident in it. It's my guy, Derek Carr, my
Ooh.
quarterback start of the week. Love the spot he's in, playing against Arizona. I think that last week was the result of them playing against a much improved Chargers defense. This week he plays an Arizona defense that is not good, has not been good since last season. Second game playing for Josh McDaniels in this new offense. I think things click better for Carr and the entire Raiders offense in week 1 or week 2.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely in the smash spot here. He had a good day as if you just take away those interceptions. So I think he'll be more locked in this week for sure.
Definitely. Greg, who's your quarterback start of the week this week?
I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson. Let's ride Russell Wilson. Uh, Going against Houston Texans. You know, had a great passing line last week. Threw for 340 yards last week. That's a really good number. The one touchdown. Russell Wilson's not gonna have one touchdown this week. He's gonna have at least two. And you just pair that with what he does normally against Houston Texans at home in a good matchup against a team they should win against. I think Russell Wilson's in a great spot here. He's going to utilize his two talented receivers and all to the best of his abilities, and Russell Wilson gets a top 5 performance.
Let's ride. I like that
That's
one.
right.
What's funny? I was just thinking back to that game, and I was like, you think Pete Carroll would have been like after the game, sent him a text like, "Hey, at least you got your numbers though."
Got your 42 attempts,
Right? You got your 42 attempts, 340 yards.
Yep.
Didn't get in the end zone though, but you got your numbers. Oh man, I love that.
Only got sacked
Moving
twice
on.
too. Look at that.
Moving on to my running back start of the week. I hate to do this, but I have to. First off, the matchup was too good. And Greg took the other guy that I wanted, so I'm going with Josh Jacobs. Again, hate to stack my quarterback and my running back, but the week 1 usage numbers for Josh Jacobs look really good. This is more of like a under the radar type start of the week because the box score didn't look great. Josh Jacobs managers are probably stressing, like, what should I do? But he had the 4th largest running back rush share in week 1 with almost 77% of the team's rushing share. Just one of 4 running backs with a rush share over 75%. Gets an Arizona defense who, again, since the end of last year, they were not very good, but they also, since the end of last year, gave up the 13th most fantasy points to the running back position. That goes from week 16 of last year through the playoffs through week 1 of this year. That's the 13th most fantasy points. And I think Josh Jacobs gets enough volume in a game with a high total, possibly gets in the end zone here. There's no Brandon Bolden. There's still some red zone work from him. So Josh Jacobs, I think, is in a really good spot this week.
Yeah, I think that Josh Jacobs' success will tie into Derek Carr's success. I think they'll help each other out in a hopefully a shootout here.
Definitely. Greg, who is your running back start of the week this week?
I'm gonna go with AG Antonio Gibson. Going against the Detroit Lions. I mean, it really plays into that matchup. Detroit is still not addressed. Their running defense, their passing defense, their defense as a whole got lit up last week by the Philadelphia Eagles collectively in one of the worst rated defenses again rushing wise. So a great matchup here. Antonio Gibson with his touches got 21 opportunities last week, 8 targets. That was top 5 amongst the running back position. So you love the passing game for him. That brings him into RB1 conversation for this week, and I think he's definitely up in contention to get in the end zone again. But even without that, the 7 receptions and his passing work, along with his 15 carries, I think he's in for a huge day.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Again, like I had said, this was the guy that I wanted to to make as my running back start of the week, but Greg beat me to it. So definitely confident in both these guys. But AG definitely has a great matchup and a ton of upside this week. My wide receiver start of the week. I know Greg's gonna like this one. Michael
Ooh.
Pittman Jr.
E.
I mean, this guy, he's love his frame, the way he plays the game. But again, you gotta love the quarterback upgrade. Well, is my stream of the week there. So I'm getting a little stack here. 26% target share last week, saw 13 targets, caught 9, even got in the end zone. And the matchup, I think, is somewhat even better this week against a Jacksonville defense who we saw get tore up by Carson Wentz and all his wide receivers. And I think Michael Pittman, this offense is very concentrated. It goes through two players, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., and that's something you really got to love from a fantasy perspective. Michael Pittman Jr., top 10 play for me this week.
Top 10 play every week. Let's go, MP.
Greg, your wide receiver start of the week this week.
Going with Amon-Ra St. Brown, aka the sun god. Everyone's calling him out here. The chief of the Egyptian gods. So yeah, this is a smash spot for him. Going against the Washington secondary, who's not impressive at all, and he gets the easiest matchup in that slot. So he's going to be working all around. I mean, since last year, we talked about it. He was up to almost 6 straight games. Got with those 8 receptions, getting double-digit targets every week in those games where he gets 8 receptions. This man is a dog. He's going to continue to dominate with T. Jackson, with Swift. It just makes it better. He gets the easier matchups, I think. And then, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I just wish I had more of him, man, so I could just start him everywhere. But maybe I'll just start him in DFS. He's going to dominate this week.
Oh man, I don't know. I got the first pick this week, so we'll see. My tight end start of the week. I'm going with a confidence play. It's week 2,
Okay.
but we're already doing confidence starts of the week here. But it's tight end, so going
Yeah.
with Dalton Schultz. I mean, this is what the Cowboys have done to us through 2 weeks. They're making us do confidence starts of the week, but I think Schultz is a must start on the Dallas side because, again, the nature of the tight end position. I think Cooper Rush will make himself familiar with Dalton Schultz early and often, and he'll finish as a top 7 PPR option at the position this week.
Yeah, especially for younger quarterbacks who doesn't play as much. I mean, that tight end is always a great safety net. I wouldn't be surprised if Dawson Schultz leads the team in receptions this week.
Definitely, Greg. And who is your tight end start of the week this week?
I'm going with Tyler Higbee, going against the Atlanta Falcons. I do love his matchup this week, coming off an 11 target game last week in week 1, and then going back to the regular season. That's 3 straight weeks with at least 9 targets. Got 6 receptions in both those games in the regular season last year. So he's gaining momentum. I think there's always been a play in previous years, but just in a better offense and a smash by here for the rest of his team, especially his quarterback, Tyler Higbee. I think we're sleeping on him a little bit, and I think he definitely gets a top tight end 1 performance this week, top 10 play.
Yeah, definitely like Tyler Higbee this week as well. I know that was somebody that we talked about when we broke down that matchup. So like that for sure. And yeah, gonna love tracking our starts of the week. One of my favorite things to do. Uh, because we're invested. Yeah, we're not just
Oh yeah,
again,
we
we're
are.
not just out
Oh yeah.
here, right? Like Michael Pittman Jr. is a guy that we both have on rosters. Antonio Gibson. I will be honest, I don't have any Josh Jacobs. Wasn't loving the situation coming into it, but I do think that he has a nice week this week. Um, yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely love the matchups. Definitely love everything about this week.
yeah, that's it for all the matchups. Now it's time for our favorite game to play. Some get money.
Ching ching, yes sir.
And if you don't know what get money is, it's a head-to-head FanDuel contest between Greg and myself. It's a snake style draft. Once a player is selected, they're removed from the player pool. Greg gets the first pick in odd weeks. I get the first pick in even weeks. It's an even week, so I got the first pick. But we got just gotta make sure, Greg. Did you get
I did.
the
I'm
match?
here. I'm locked in.
I
Got
might
the
have to
phone out.
reset my might have to reset my app here
Oh man.
because I sent it, but I don't see. Okay, there we go. All right. So my first pick this week, think he's a little undervalued still, given
Okay.
what he did last week. But I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna slide in Saquon Barkley, 8,800.
Oh, oof, oof. Really want to do that the first pick. Oh man, that's crazy. Oh man, that's a really good pick.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
brother.
just take AG now then. Slide him in as my RB1 as my start of the week.
That's fair. And if for everyone who doesn't know, we are playing on the main slate, so uh, all those
And
people that are playing in like Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, so the Bills, the Vikings, they're not here, so got to make do with what we have. Um, I'm gonna go with Devonte Adams as my wide receiver, 8,800. Slide him in there.
yeah, because of that, I was looking at Cooper Cup too, but he might be a little too much. So I'm gonna go Jamar Chase,
That's a
8,700 as my wide receiver one.
That is a good one, sir. For my RB2, let me just let me go wide receiver here first. Um, I'm gonna go Christian Kirk, 6,500.
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna go quarterback stream of the week, Carson Wentz, 7,400. Get a little value there so I can free up some money, getting Jamar Chase and everything.
Okay. Um, hmm. I'm gonna go DJ Shark, 5,700.
Okay. Okay. Mm, at my as my running back two, uh, I think I'm gonna go Darrell Henderson, 6,200 RB2. I like it.
Okay. Just trying to see if I can make some stuff happen over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw my tight end in. I'm gonna go Logan Thomas, 5,200.
Okay. I'm gonna get a stack here because I want to go with Scary Terry as my wide receiver two, 7,300 in a also great spot. Definitely, if it wasn't Amon St. Brown, it was Terry McLaurin start of the week for wide receivers again.
I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns defense, 4,700.
Like that. Uh, as my third wide receiver, I'm gonna go with your guy, Michael Pittman Jr., 7,800. Slide him in there as my wide receiver three.
Mm. Out here looking for a flex. Um, for my running back two, I'm gonna take Josh Jacobs, my running back start of the week, 6,600, going up against Arizona.
I'm gonna take. Ooh, I'm gonna take Hayden Hurst at 5,300 at tight end. Sorry, I lied. Tyler Higbee is the same price, so I'm gonna just take Tyler Higbee, 5,300 tight end start of the week. Yeah,
Makes
great value.
sense. In my flex, I'm gonna go with Chase Edmonds, 6K. That's great value there.
In my flex, I'm gonna go Jerry Judy, 6,300, which is I think pretty cheap. Going against Houston in my flex.
Okay. Just want to make sure I can't do something else. Okay, we're good. Uh, Round this out. I think this is my last pick.
Mhm.
Going with Derek Carr as my quarterback, 7,300.
Had to save up at the defense, so I'm taking your New York Jets, man, going against Cleveland. 3,400. It's nice saving some money.
It
And
is
doing
my
200
defensive
left.
stream of the week.
It is. It is.
All right. So just to recap, I think that we're all done, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. To recap, my lineup here, I got Derek Carr at quarterback, 7,300. Saquon Barkley at running back, 8,800. My running back two, Josh Jacobs, 6,600. Um, at wide receiver, I got Devontae Adams, 8,800. Um, Christian Kirk as my wide receiver one, or Devontae. Oh, sorry, Devontae Adams my wide receiver one. Christian Kirk my wide receiver two, 6,500. Did you take Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I didn't. I did not.
Dang. All right, it's fine. I was like, I have enough money to upgrade to him. This is just crazy. Uh, I have Christian DJ Shark as my wide receiver. 5,700. Logan Thomas as my tight end, 5,200. Chase Edmonds in my flex for 6K, and then Cleveland Browns defense, 4,700 going up against the New York Jets.
Yeah, it's probably worrying about stealing your players and not actually taking mine. But because he's cheap too, I might. We'll see. We'll see. I might put a lineup in with that adjustment. But Carson Wentz as my quarterback, 7,400. Antonio Gibson at my RB1, 7,400 as well. Darrell Henderson, 6,200 as my RB2. Jamar Chase, wide receiver one at 8,700. Scary Terry McLaurin, 7,300 as my wide receiver two. Michael Pittman Jr., 7,800 going against Jacksonville. Tyler Higbee is my tight end at 5,300. Jerry Judy, 6,300 as my flex, and the New York Football Jets going at 3,400 as my defense.
Nice. Just to recap, I did beat Greg last week, so I want to know.
J Jeff, man. J Jeff.
Yeah, JJ. Yeah, so that's it for the week, y'all. Everybody, good luck this week. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Appreciate y'all for the comments, the questions, listening, liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff. And we'll see y'all on Monday. We do our week 2 recap and break down the week that was. But until then, we'll catch y'all later. Have a good one, and we're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.